We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
All right. Every time I have this segment, it inspires me. I think I'll go with the wife tomorrow to Big Cheese, 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue. I haven't had a little baked ziti in a while with a little chicken. So good. And get those garlic rolls going. How you feeling, Manny? You feeling good?
Feeling good. Oh, just busy time of year, between transfer portal reopening soon and my daughter's soccer and everything else going on in my life, brother. It's it's a good time, busy time.
Yeah. And by the way, basketball, busy right now.
Yep.
They hire a new coach. Talk to me a little bit about Andrew.
Yeah, I ended up hiring Moran from Columbus, who's obviously built a tremendous squad down there. Won the national championship. Was the national coach of the year. Won multiple state championships over there, about 4 consecutive with the Boozer brothers. And so now Jai Lucas is looking to strengthen his staff, bring in a guy who obviously a local guy who has had a lot of success and can help him recruit, right? Be a director of player development for him. So, and obviously the overtones there. Well, is he going to be able to bring the Bruiser brothers to South Florida?
Is he a thief?
Is he a thief? Can he pull it off? Right.
Yes.
I would say this. I would say I don't expect it to happen in year one. Okay. Meaning I think the Boozer brothers will be at Duke as expected this fall, at least according to someone that I spoke to just this morning. But I do think.
By the way, am I reading into this like one Boozer could be a one and done, but the other one really probably isn't a one and done, so that could keep the other one around for an extra year because he loves his brother and he'll make a lot of money in NIL. Somebody told me that. Is there any truth to that? Because I don't know enough about this shit. I don't watch the kids.
Yes. One of the bigger Boozer is the better talent. The big man. The guard is also very, very good too. They're both very good players, but I think ultimately here this is a situation where the older Boozer, or not the older Boozer, the bigger Boozer is going to be the guy who's probably the NBA, first rounder, lottery type pick, and the younger brother is a guy who could probably be a first rounder too if he continues to develop, but is obviously the smaller player. The guard and there's a lot more of those guys than there are big men who can play the way the older Boozer does.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of it's like the Cavender twins.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as good looking as the Cavender twins, but one Cavender was better than the other. One Boozer is better than the other. It's just kind of the way it goes, right? I mean, that's Haley was better than Hannah, right? I think that's how it goes, right?
Right. I mean, listen, they're both elite guys, but I think Cameron, 6'9", power forward, that's the guy that everybody wanted. Caden is very, very good. I think, again, I think in the Cavender twin situation, one sister was clearly better than the other. I think in this one,
there's not that much of a gap. Okay.
Right. Like Caden is, I think, just as talented, but he's a guard, and there's he's a 6'5" guard. The other guy's a 6'9" power forward. There's more value in being a 6'9" power forward. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. But it's interesting how you put it, like 1 year, but then the second year you could get him to come here. And obviously it all depends on what Miami does in the first year under Jai Lucas. If they can actually turn things around like right away. I know Columbus had the third guy there. I don't know his name now. Is he a possible recruit for the University of Miami? Is he good enough? I'm not. I don't follow.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you either.
Because I know there's a third guy there. I forgot the kid's
name.
Well,
they were tremendous. They were a tremendous squad. Obviously, went 30-3 and played in the national championship. I think you're talking about.
I don't know the name, but I know there is a legit third guy there.
But I think they're all underclassmen, to be honest. Gaskins and Richardson are the other two big time players for them, but they were juniors. So
Okay.
I think there's definitely a possibility with Moran joining the staff that they can land one of those two guys.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. All right. Let's start off. We got a little spring game action on Saturday for some folks out there to get a little bit of a fix.
Yeah, only 5,500 people, I guess, will be able to actually watch the Hurricane spring game because it's not on television this year. Mario Cristobal made sure of that. A lot of coaches nowadays are obviously the paranoia of who you're going to come and get. If you see one of my talented backups, are you going to come in and try to steal one of those guys? And so I think there's a lot of frustration with that across coaches, with coaches across college football. But I think for me, tomorrow, I think what I want to see is how good do the freshman receivers look, right? We've heard a lot about how talented Miami's freshmen are. Will Baby Jesus play like Baby Jesus, when he's playing in the spring game? I'm talking about Malachi Nelson.
Right. Yeah.
Will the rest of the guys that just got here, the transfers, especially in the secondary, are they going to look the part? I've heard a lot about Xavier Lucas and just how talented he is at the cornerback position. I want to see how he does. Is he a number one guy who's ready to take over there? So to me, those are some of the storylines from the game tomorrow.
Shit, dude, what was I gonna? Man, I was gonna ask you something about the damn spring game. Oh yes, Deion Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
He is doing something that has never been done before. I don't know if he finally scheduled it, but I think he did, where he's going to have a scrimmage against another team instead of.
No, he wasn't able
Oh,
to
he
get.
wasn't.
He was not. He was pushing to try to do that by
So what
getting Syracuse. Yeah, their petition didn't pass through. He
happened?
wanted to play against Syracuse, right? But that's listen.
What's
Ideally,
you can't. That's illegal or something. They don't allow that.
the NCAA didn't allow it, right? Correct. So
Why? What's the reason? It's practice. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
Oh, wait a minute, because that's like a game, and you
yes,
only have practice hours.
correct. So they would have to change the rules for that. But I can tell you that college football, to me, and I said this several years ago, that this was the smart thing to do because you could sell those games and put them on television as product, right? As something that people would pay to watch these
Right.
scrimmages, especially if it's freshmen and sophomores, etc. So I think eventually, as we get into revenue sharing and everything else, that might be something that gets brokered. But
Well,
I think,
by the way, but you don't have to make it revenue. What you do is have them closed practices, and that way the only people that see it are the two coaches and the two teams. And
right.
maybe you have a gentleman's agreement. Hey, listen, let's
But
let's help each other get prepared, but let's also not pick each other's rosters at all. And have
that's
a gentleman's agreement like that. If you can do that, you do that agreement ahead of time. But again, now, see, I didn't know that they weren't able to do that because when I read about that a couple of weeks ago, I thought that was a fantastic idea by Dion, and I'm wondering why haven't people done it? And then when you said no, I started to think, and I'm going, what could it be? And I thought about the stupid practice hours that they have.
Well, there's no there's rule limitations with what you can do, and there's injury concerns and yada yada yada. So there's a lot of different reasons why the NCAA would have to sort of pre-approve this before they allow two teams to do it, like Syracuse and Colorado. They couldn't just allow them to do it and not everybody else.
I know, and the conferences would have to approve that too.
Right. But what I was saying to you is my opinion, where I think we're headed is I think eventually with how, hungry all these schools are to make money to pay the players, that this becomes a TV event in the spring. I think eventually we'll get to that point.
Okay. Let's see. You are handing me something here. In 2024 season at Columbus High School, Cameron and Caden Boozer, the sons of former NBA Carlos Boozer, were key players on the team. Their teammates included Caleb Gaskins, Jackson Richardson, Salo Jackson, and Keeper Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The Gaskins.
You mentioned that. By the way, Keeper
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, that's a freaking cool name, bro.
That is an awesome
Keeper
name.
Jackson. Like, we'll call our kid Keeper.
Yeah. That is a great name. Yeah, I don't know where those guys rank. I haven't followed enough of the basketball.
What were you going to
recruiting.
add there, Sean? Hold on a second.
No, there's the Jason Richardson. I guess he was a 15-year NBA pro. His sons are
Oh, that's
also
Quentin.
on the team.
That's Quentin
No,
Richardson.
that's Jackson.
Okay.
And then there's a Jason Richardson. They're brothers. They're not twins, but they're also on the team. And their father.
Oh,
was
so
in
they're
NBA
the next
also.
brother combination for next year.
I guess the brother came off the bench this year, Jason.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that either. Did you know that they had a brother combination for next year?
I did not know. You're teaching me now.
Yeah. No, I don't follow, dude. I can't follow high school football. I mean basketball. There's no way. I got to have a life. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be something for me to do out there. All right. So give me recruits that are going to be at this spring game that the fans should know about.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Tristan Keys is a 5-star wide receiver who's been committed to LSU for a while. He will be down for the spring game, at least among the people that Miami thinks will be here. Jace Matthews, another big-time receiver. Kendall Gervil, kid out of the Fort Myers area, top defensive lineman. You're going to have several Miami commits. Joel Irvin, Javian Mallory, the running back from West Boca Raton, who was a big pickup for them. Jordan Campbell, the longtime commitment, is a kid who's been a part of this recruiting class now for 2 years, and he still has a senior year to go. Jalen Waters, the DB who they picked up, and then Jontavius Wyman, another big pickup for them in terms of early commitments for the 2026 class. So all those kids will be down here. You'll have some FSU kids, some Michigan kids, some kids that are leans towards other places. But again, this is the time when all of these kids are flipping and changing their mind. And ultimately, I don't feel like anybody really locks in until the summertime. That's when most of these guys want to make decisions.
Justin Cantwell, what can you tell us about his decision?
Yeah, it looks like he wants to speed up the clock a little bit. I spoke to Justin at the Under Armour All-American game for a long time back in December. And I can tell you that he was planning to visit a bunch of schools and make the process basically, I think, bleed as long as possible before reaching a decision. But it feels like Miami, Oregon, and Georgia are sort of separating themselves from the rest of the pack right now. He's got a couple more places he has to visit, including Michigan. But again, I told you the secret to all of this with Cantwell was they're represented by the Rosenhaus firm. And again, I'm not saying the Rosenhaus firm is automatically going to make him a Hurricane, but I do think that Miami has a better opportunity because of who represents him in this case. So we will see how that ends up shaking out. But I think Cantwell is definitely in the running for Miami. Do I think the Hurricanes are 100% going to win out? I would say no. I think he's got a lot of competition. Georgia's a team that's won a bunch of national championships. Oregon was number one in the country all of last season until they lost to the eventual national champions. Miami still has a little ways to go in terms of getting to that level. Obviously, they got a lot more to do on the field. But I do think having Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal, two guys that are offensive line guys on this staff, having CC Mauinoa, having guys that are projected to be NFL draft picks, I think that all plays well in Miami's favor in trying to convince Justin Cantwell to commit.
It's funny how big spring game is for people and all that, and it's interesting that it's become much bigger than what it really is, what it should be. Over the last couple of decades when Miami really hasn't been anything special. But when they were winning national championships in the 80s and the 90s and even challenging all the way up to 2001, at no time did we ever really give a shit about a spring game.
No. And again, I think a lot of this, though, is a product of the media. There's a lot more people that are specialty websites, right? Like you have the inside they use
somehow. Yeah, I know.
They gotta fill the stuff. And to be honest, like I told my readers at The Athletic, I'm like, listen, there's so many guys that have surgery. There's so many guys like Carson Beck's not even out there. What can you honestly gauge
on the offense?
Nothing. Right, on the offense, because you need to see how he works with those receivers. If that is if like we get to the fall and it's terrible, then anything we saw in the spring is meaningless because what does it matter? Right? So
I know, but it's funny how when they were winning all kinds of shit.
Right. I get your point.
Spring game. Nobody talked about that shit.
Yeah.
None of that, dude. You know what we would get? We would get you or somebody else to go out there and go watch a practice on their own and just do some side story because a former player came over to work out with them or something. And that's it. It was a story in the paper. And then people talked about it, and that's about it. But nobody gave a shit about a practice game, dude, a spring game. You know what I mean? It was just like, it's just hilarious, man. It really is how things have changed. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you, Manny, something? Those spring games back then, would they have been better than the regular games during the season?
Oh, for sure. Then these yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, think about when the eventual NFL first round picks they had as freshmen that spent all season redshirting or waiting to kick somebody else's ass like that. Yes, those games were much better.
Yeah, that would have been really cool to watch. No doubt about that. All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to have some stories next week. I just put out a bunch this week. One of them was on FIU, so if you haven't had a chance to read about the Panthers, I went out there and I did something on them. I have another story that ran reviewing the 2015 recruiting class in the state of Florida. Those of you might remember, that was the year that Lamar Jackson came out of Boynton Beach High School as the number 58 best player in the state. Who knew? That the 58th best player in the state would end up winning 2 NFL MVP awards and a Heisman. But if you want a little perspective on hits and misses and projecting athletes, you might want to check out that story on theathletic.com.
There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, as always, my brother, appreciate you immensely. We'll catch up next week. Thank you.
All right. Good talking to you. Take care.
You got it. Big Cheese Miami. Remember, they deliver. You can pick up. They got the party platters, but man, get on down there and try the fried mozzarella and the eggplant parmesan, the cheese ravioli, the baked meat tortellini, the baked ziti ricotta, the seafood pasta, the shrimp pasta. The menu is enormous. Go check it out. And those garlic rolls are to die for. They give you a little pizza sauce to dip in. Oh, so good. BigCheeseMiami.com.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.